Hi, today we're going to talk about taking off, removing flywheels to get to the ignition. The motor we have in front is a 1957 3 horsepower Evinrude. Now, even though it's a smaller motor, a lot of the concepts will apply to larger motors. And so let's talk about some of the tools that we're going to be using. Okay, a hammer. And we have a flywheel puller here. This is a harmonic balancer. It's a wheel puller that you can get any place like AutoZone, O'Reilly's, any car parts place, automotive parts place, excuse me. And so we'll also need 3 grade 8 1/4 by 20 threads per inch bolts here, okay? And these are about 3.5, 4 inches, okay? So just remember, grade 8 1/4 inch by 20 threads per inch long screws. Very important that you get grade 8 because they're much harder and much more durable. Don't cheap out and get lower grades. So grade 8. And then this is called a flywheel knocker. Now we'll save this for last. Much prefer to use a flywheel puller. Better for the flywheel than this, but if worse comes to worse and you need it, we can use this flywheel puller. Basically, it is the size of the nut that you're going to be that would be screwed onto the flywheel. You get 2 of them, okay, and you would basically screw them down together, and you would leave about half of one of the nuts right here. You leave half of it exposed so it can screw on top, okay? And we'll explain how that'll come in later. And this right here is just a plain old homemade flywheel puller. As you can see, it's just an old belt, leather belt or strap or whatever, anything that you have around the house. And here you have, it looks like about an inch by inch, it looks like a vegetable garden stake, and you basically take some wood screws and washers and you secure it apart like this onto there, okay, and then you adhere the belt onto it just like this, and you can make an adjustable flywheel puller. You don't have to go out and get a fancy one, but if you want to, you can. So let's get started. Alrighty, let's get lined up. Now on top there's going to be 3 little screws here, and those are where you're going to put the 8 grade bolts into. So I've already loosened these up for time saving purposes. Alrighty. And what's really cool about some of these old motors is they actually had inspection ports here and here where you could adjust your points and clean them and kind of look at things in general, which made it real nice. And usually those were in the early 60s, 50s, definitely. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put the I've already pre-adjusted this. We're going to put the flywheel holder on here just like this, okay? All right, so we're going to be turning counterclockwise. So I'm going to have it wrapped around like this, so when I start turning this way, it'll meet the resistance, and I can take the flywheel nut off. One second. And then naturally you will need an appropriate size socket to remove your flywheel. So this one takes 11/16. Most of them are 3/4. So I'm going to turn, okay? And I'm going to meet resistance, and I'm going to keep turning until, there you go. Now some of them that have been on for a very long time or have a little bit of surface rust on it may be a bit more stubborn, but this one comes off nicely. Alrighty. So this is where our flywheel puller comes in. Okay, we have the grade A bolts, and then we also have the washer on top that we're going to apply. Just like this. I'm going to screw this down. Now, what you want to do is you want to take a black magic marker and you want to mark it to about a ½ inch. The reason why you don't want to go down too deep is because you don't want to naturally damage the parts underneath the flywheel, like the coils, which are expensive. So I'm going to get that going here. Okay, I'm going to screw the first one in. I have the little markers on there to make it easy for me to see where it stops at a ½ inch. Oops, sorry, I screwed in the wrong one. It actually goes through the two side ones here. Sorry about that. Goes to this one as well. Last one here. Actually, this can be taken off for the time being. Alright, and so I'm going to just screw these in, and again I have it marked so I know where the little tips are at, and you just want to get it down to about the ½ inch. Okay, you see where the little, okay, by keeping all of them roughly about a ½ inch, you keep this top portion of the harmonic balancer even. And so when it pulls, it lifts everything up at the same time and evenly, okay? And then the harmonic balancer, you want to put the flat side surface up so these little washers and stuff can help lift at an even amount. And okay, you don't want to, with these, you don't want to put these on and tighten too much, because what you can do is if you start tightening, you can actually cause this bolt to lift up and destroy the threads down below. Okay, so but if you tighten it this way, just like this, once you have each one of these roughly about a ½ inch, okay, and then you kind of eyeball it and look at to see if it's level. Okay, let me loosen this up a little bit. This one looks like it can go. Okay, that one's about right. Alrighty. So now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and loosen the flywheel. Okay. I like to use, it's already tightened here. I like to put a pair of vice grips on the top right here. But you can use any type of grips you want. Okay. Alrighty. Well, let's see if we can pop this thing off. Now, some of these can be pretty stubborn and may take a lot of patience. So don't get too discouraged. And so it may just take time as you crank and you put it down. It can be a bit stubborn, because this right here. All right, we're going to take it off. All right, so I'm going to tighten this. I'm going to turn this clockwise because I want this to push down. This down here, I want it to push down on the crankshaft, okay, but I want it to lift up the flywheel evenly, okay. So I'm going to hold this and turn, and keep turning, okay, and you're going to start meeting some resistance, okay. Now, there you go. You heard that pop noise? Now, that pop noise is the flywheel popping off of here. Nothing broke, okay. Now, some of these flywheels are real stubborn, but this little 3 horsepower is pretty easy, okay. So you just lift it off here, and this thing keeps everything intact and keeps the flywheel and everything from popping off. Alrighty. Alrighty. So that's how we pop off the flywheel. Okay. Now, as you can see, this is where the taper, this portion over here, the flywheel key, and down in here is the taper. You want to make sure that taper's clean. Do not oil that taper. That taper is specially fitted and machine fitted to fit that flywheel. That flywheel sits on there, and when you snug down the flywheel, now this the flywheel nut that goes on top here actually takes about 40 pounds of PSI of pressure, pounds per square foot of pressure, excuse me, and to lug it down. And that inherent resistance of this taper, this clean taper, and inside of the flywheel is what helps prevent the flywheel from slipping. Now the key does too, but the key is actually kind of soft, and so if this thing's all boogered up or it's not tightened down well, it'll actually shear the key and damage all this in the inside, and then your timing will be off. So anyway, but I just want to go back and talk about really quick the flywheel knocker. Now, I would not use the flywheel knocker on this motor, okay? Well, you can, but I would discourage it. I'm sorry, I'm just taking off the little bolts on off the flywheel so I can sit it on top to show you what I'm talking about. Some motors do not have the little screw holes that we can put the bolts into, okay? Some of them don't. And so that's where the flywheel knocker comes in. Some lawnmowers are that way. Now I'm going to line it back up. There's the little opening right here, the little keyway pathway, and I'm going to slide this back down. Sorry, let me line this up. There we go. It sits. All right. So this is what you would do, okay, with the flywheel knocker. Okay, after you took off the flywheel bolt, you would place this on top, just like this, and you'd screw it on. Okay. Okay, and then you would lug it down. You would tighten it. Now this only will go down about 1/2 inch. Okay, so we tighten it on there. Okay, there, like so. And what you would do, now again, I would not do it with this one, because you see the underneath the flywheel here, we have where we adjust the ignition system. Has the control is up underneath at the bottom right here. So we really can't put something under, like here, we can't put this underneath here and lift it, because it'll damage the little ignition plate underneath the flywheel. Some flywheels, the ignition plate is a little bit under the flywheel, and so it doesn't really touch, and the flywheel's the lip is actually exposed. So not this motor, but motors where the flywheel plate is not even, okay, but the flywheel sticks out some, you can use, and like here, you can use a screwdriver, okay, and you'd be lifting up, okay, like a large screwdriver, and you'd actually take a hammer just like this, and you would whack pretty darn hard on top of this, just like this, and lift up and push up. I'm not going to do this because I don't want to destroy my my ignition plate down at the bottom. But you would lift up on the screwdriver as you're whacking this hard. What this does and what this creates is like vibration, and that vibration goes down and actually separates the two halves and allows it to come up, okay? The flywheel puller is basically doing the same thing, but we're not striking it, we're just pulling it up to separate it, okay? So again, that's one way to do it. I would use this as the flywheel knocker as the last resort. I would prefer that someone use the flywheel puller, much safer, much better. But if you don't have that option, you can use the flywheel knocker, okay? And you just place this underneath here, and then push it up. Be careful not to damage anything under the motor, whack it pretty hard on top of it. It's not going to damage the crankshaft and these little threads will be protected. So anyway, I hope you find this helpful, and happy motoring.